Hi, everyone. So this is the lightning round, so I'm going to speak very quick. So I'm CEO of Po.et. I joined Po.et about a month ago. Before that, I led all innovation at the Washington Post and led technology teams at other publishers. Po.et is a decentralized platform for managing the world's creative assets. And why is that important? I think if you work in publishing or understand publishing and where the space is today, there's a huge issue when it comes to not just ownership and attribution, but really what is the value of content, right? How can we better understand how to put more money in the hands of creators and how to really better understand how to empower them to do the work that they're doing? A lot of that has to do with IP, which is a very common theme, which I'm sure we'll hear about from the other panelists as well, but what does IP really mean when it comes to content ownership? And how can you leverage the blockchain to be able to timestamp that content, take the metadata within that content, but also build on top of that as well? Like, what do permissions look like when it's in the hands of the creators? When they can encrypt or decrypt their content to decide if it's something that should be licensed and syndicated or if it's something that they want behind closed doors. So the main purpose of the Po.et protocol, and again, it's an open source protocol, is to really own your content, right? How do we make it as seamless as possible for all content creators to be able to own their content, store that metadata on the hash, and be able to manage those permissions? A lot of that has to do with what I call the hook. And what we're doing with the hook is really understanding how people are creating content, right? They're leveraging WordPress, they're using Medium. Twitter is an amazing IP content-driven platform that we haven't even scratched the surface of understanding what that IP means. And how can we make it as seamless as possible for everyone to be able to, when they're creating, whether in an Adobe Photoshop or an Acrobat or building in a CMS, to be able to own that. And next is really understanding how to create and issue licenses. So the idea of syndication and ownership of content is very dispersed right now. There's a lot of image media and galleries when it comes to Getty and Creative Commons that have different price points. There's video syndication, but it's very hard when you're creating content and understanding content and bringing everything together to be able to bring it all together in a very smart way. That's what we're looking to do with Po.et. So this is really the first step to where we really see creators going into a decentralized economy where they could take their content and ownership and bring it back. And how can we empower them, right? When you're dealing with creators, if you're making them go out of their way in any which way, then they likely will not leverage the technology. And even if it's important to them, we need to make sure that it's integrated in a very smart way. So proof of publication and really being able to create this digital catalog, this idea of hooking in creators and hooking in content is going to allow us to build a huge repository. To date, we have about 50,000 creators on Po.et, and that's before partnerships. So a lot of the long tail, a lot of people creating their own independent journalism, media, and so forth. And being able to have it as an open source protocol really allows us to see what the community could build on top of it. So to date, we have community members that are building Medium hooks to be able to, when they publish on Medium, own and attribute that content within the blockchain. We're also having others figuring out how to inject Po.et metadata within images, within video, so that it's not just an ingestion, but also a digestion of being able to put this knowledge and information into the content creations that are already out there. And we launched the protocol layer, the middleware layer, and then this application layer, which is really what's driven by the community and driven by these partnerships. Po.et's goal, not just with Longtail, is to work with the biggest media companies, the biggest advertising companies, and really figure out how to empower them to really start to step into this space. These are some of the integrations and plugins that have already been created on the Po.et platform since launch. And again, you're kind of seeing strong integrations where people are creating content both on the front end and the back end. What we're really looking to do, again, is to kind of place it within the stream of where content is created and how do we define content creation. How can we really put it where they, like, how can we enable, right, a creator who may be creating content in a blog to then OAuth their Twitter as ownership IP, OAuth their Facebook as ownership IP, and really have an entire catalog to really rethink where they belong in the space and how they could best leverage it to put that content out there. So Frost is what we launched about 2.5, 3 weeks ago, which is an open API for publishers to really start to build on top of this and start using it. We need a huge community to be able to create this content in order to build this repository. Once we have this repository, what we're also doing is we have a block explorer, which is a way to search, right? Search within all of the content that's being created within this database, being able to license it, to commission content, and really think differently, again, about how this entire model happens. Once we do that, we're really building a very informational layer by decentralizing how we value this content and bring the search results and best content to the top. We're empowering with both both technology and community for us to build the next generation platform for media and marketplaces. Thank you. I'm at 0.